pupils into the army, and particularly their grades.
Hundreds of Egyptians have taken to the streets of the capital Cairo, demanding an end to sexual violence, including harassment. It comes amidst increased reports of attacks on women protesters. But as we hear in this report by CFI, most of the cases are hardly reported because of the stigmatization and cultural impunity.
Hundreds of Egyptians marched through the streets of Cairo to demand an end to sexual violence and harassment. Sexual harassment of women is commonplace, regardless of age, social status, or whether or not they wear a headscarf. This demonstration comes amid increasing reports of such attacks. Demonstrations on January 25th to mark the second anniversary of Egypt's uprising were scarred by a number of incidents of sexual violence against female protesters around Cairo's Tahrir Square.
What happened in the squares on the 25th and after was a crime against humanity. There was aggressive action against civilians which took place in an organized and pre-planned way in order to empty the squares, scare the opposition and send a message to society so that they will be afraid to express their opinion.
Reports gathered from witnesses say the victim is usually stripped and groped by a mob of men. This sometimes turns into rape, including penetration with sharp objects. The attacks sometimes take place in broad daylight, in full view of thousands of spectators. But they often go unreported because of the stigma attached to sexual assault and an attitude of contempt on the part of the police.
Even though we are not young women, we are still harassed. This means that it's not about young women only. They harass any woman in the square to break them and stop them from going to protest. I'm telling them we will go and we will never be broken. We will go and stay.
According to human rights groups, this can be attributed to the culture of impunity, undoubtedly exacerbated by the climate of political instability. There's also a determination to exclude women from the public sphere and deprive them of the right to participate in the construction of Egypt's future. Finally, there's the lack of interest by political groups, state officials and the press. In October, the government announced it would legislate on sexual harassment, but there's been no follow-up. On the contrary, the new constitution describes the role of women as guardians of the home, but does not explicitly ban discrimination against them.
The Syrian crisis may be dominating talks at the ongoing OIC conference in Egypt, but that is not stopping loyalists of the Bashar al-Assad government from launching aerial bombardment on rebel-held areas surrounding the capital Damascus. Tehran, for its part, is calling on the Syrian opposition and the embattled administration to settle their differences through negotiations.
A top Syrian security official in Damascus has confirmed that the Syrian army began a total and coordinated attack against all rebel belts surrounding the capital. This major offensive that began on Wednesday and continues Thursday has also been confirmed by the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. There's fighting in Kadama, Joba and Kabun. President Bashar al-Assad's forces are reportedly trying to crush the rebellion around the capital and big cities. The military operation is a blow to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation meeting in Cairo. The summit is dominated by the Syrian conflict and is trying to broker talks. But even within the summit there are divisions. On the one side there is Turkey, the oil-rich Gulf monarchies and Egypt that support the rebels. On the other side is Iran, trying to save its regional ally, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad.
The ruling government in Syria must refer to history and learn its lesson. The people are the ones who remain. The Syrian government and opposition must meet and seek an internal solution. The solution must be in the hands of the Syrian people.
Tehran is promoting a proposal for talks between the Syrian opposition and Syrian government officials who do not have blood on their hands. This proposal is on the table until Sunday and stands on the condition that all women held in Syrian prisons be released by Sunday.
We now take a second break. We'll be right back. Time now to join the Central Forecast Office for a look at the weather report.
Provides nutritious delicacies as food, while it provides its wildlife a balanced ecosystem. This river, as a sanctuary, is committed to its inhabitants' needs without season. And as you travel along, all these values are replicated in one company, Elton. Just like the River Gambia, leads in its commitment to values that matter most. Elton, championing the vision for a new generation.
Hello there, wonderful viewers. Welcome to the weather segment. We begin with the summary. We experience a hazy atmosphere across the country, and we now take a look at the satellite picture, indicating the presence of convective clouds over the coast of Gulf of Guinea states and also over the southern part of the continent. For the forecast tonight, we'll be expecting a cool, partly cloudy and slightly hazy atmosphere to prevail over the entire country onwards morning, whilst the day tomorrow, we'll be expecting a partly cloudy atmosphere to prevail over the entire country, becoming warm in the afternoon. Winds will vary between easterlies and northeasterlies in orientation, and they will both be light to moderate in speed. Morning temperatures will vary between 14 degrees Celsius and 17 degrees Celsius, whilst afternoon temperatures will vary between 29 and 35 degrees Celsius. For those going to sea, we'll be expecting a low tide of 0.35 meters at 2:05 a.m. and also 0.24 meters at 2:16 p.m. For the high tide, we'll be expecting 1.55 meters at 8:26 a.m. and also 1.82 meters at 8:56 p.m. Wave heights will vary between 1 to 2 meters high and slight to moderate southwesterly swells. The sun will rise at 7:31 and will set at 19:08. Thanks for the pleasure of your company, and do have a wonderful evening.
From the weather report there, we take a quick look at our headlines before we go. The West Africa Agricultural Productivity Program has reached out to the Department of Agriculture and National Agricultural Research Institute in the form of 11 vehicles and 30 motorbikes. Personnel of the UN country team and officials of the Gambia government have conducted another joint review of the 2012-2016 United Nations Assistance Development Framework. 19 Congolese rebels are standing trial in South Africa for allegedly plotting to overthrow President Joseph Kabila. And a defiant Bashar al-Assad government has launched aerial bombardment on rebel-held areas in and around Damascus, even as OIC leaders discuss the situation in Syria. That's it for this edition of the news. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
The history of the struggle is rich with the stories of the heroes and heroines. Some of them leaders, some of them followers, all of them deserve to be remembered. My name is Njogu Ture. I was born in Latrikunda. I was interested in the arts when I was very young, trying to create things. I started to paint on t-shirts, and I was selling these t-shirts to people. So I will use that money to invest it in materials. In 1985, there was a visiting journalist from the UK. They bought one of my pieces. When she went back to the UK, to my surprise, I got a letter from the snail mail. I was invited by the Commonwealth Institute in London for an exhibition, and word started to spread. There was a day I had phone calls from other people saying, oh, what did